Hi everyone, it's Danny. Welcome back to another layout for the Cocoa Vanilla Studio design team. Today I'm going to be making a layout with this umbrellas cut file from Copa Cut Files, and I want to use this cut file because I have these photos to document of my daughter just out dancing and playing in the rain. I haven't printed them out just yet, so I'm just flicking through on my phone. I haven't decided at this point which photos I'm going to use, which is why they're not printed. But I knew I wanted to use this cut file. It's a really lovely background piece. So I printed it out nice and large, and I'm going to go ahead and back the whole thing with papers from the Daydream collection. And I'm mostly going to use this rainbow stripe for the tops of the umbrellas, but I will do a few in the yellow pattern and also the teeny tiny daisy print. And then the underside of the umbrella, the bottom part, I am just going to back in mostly solid patterns. I am just using the trace, cut and glue method to back this cut file. This is just mostly my preferred way. I don't always do it this way, but it is my go-to. So I just flip over the cut file and the pattern paper, trace the shape that I need on the back of the paper with a pencil, trim it out slightly larger than the pencil line, and then stick it down with a thin line of tacky glue. And there you can see I'm just trimming off the tiny bit that I didn't quite trim it to the right size, so that does sometimes happen, but mostly I can get it pretty close now without having to trim any extra. So I'm just going to quickly go through and back all those. I've sped this up super fast just so you can watch the process a few times, but I will not make you watch me back this entire cut file. That would be a very tedious video indeed. So there we go, I've skipped 2, and you can see I have mostly done that rainbow stripe, but I have thrown in a few yellow and a few blue umbrellas as well, just for some variation. And I am going to put that onto this blue cardstock background. Now you can see I have a scrap piece, or a fairly large scrap piece of the raindrops pattern paper, and I'd originally intended to put this cut file on this paper as a background, but it was just too much white against the white cut file. You couldn't really tell that they were umbrellas. So I've decided to switch to the cardstock and just fussy cut out a bunch of these raindrops and stick them straight onto the background in between all those umbrellas. And I'm just auditioning those to make sure I like how they look, and I do before I go ahead and cut out a whole bunch more. So I did need quite a few. It actually didn't take too long. I just popped on a TV show and sat there and watched that while I cut all those out, and it went pretty quickly. I'm gluing down my cut file now. I'm going to just add a thin line of glue around the edge here because I am planning on stitching that straight to my layout with my sewing machine. So I will just add some tacky glue behind all these little umbrellas once I've gone ahead and done that. I don't glue all the umbrellas down, and I am just kind of doing the main ones to make sure that my cut file doesn't move around. That machine stitching will obviously make sure it doesn't come off the page. Okay, these are my photos. These are the ones I decided on. Oh, I just love them. She just loves the rain so much. She's such a little water baby. So I've done those 2 smaller ones, and then this slightly more zoomed in one where you can see her happy little smile. So that's obviously going to be my focus. I'll back these in some pattern paper. I'm just doing a thin mat on each one, nothing too creative there. I'm just going to do a layer of this pink scallop paper behind the 2 more zoomed out photos, and then my main photo I will use a different color just to emphasize the fact that that is my kind of main photo on the layout. I'm just using my big scissors for this. I don't really care if the lines aren't perfectly straight because nobody notices. I promise you. So there we go, snipping those down, and I'll just put these kind of in that diagonal line that I generally like to do on my layout. So there we go. So I'm placing that main photo more towards the center of the layout because that is where your focus will be when you're looking at the page. And now I'm popping on my raindrops, so I know where my photos are going to go. I wanted to position those first before I went ahead and did this because I didn't want to glue raindrops down where you would not see them, where they'd get covered up, because that's just extra work that you don't need to do. So I'm just putting down a blob of tacky glue, just trying to get a good spacing between all the raindrops, and I'm trying to vary those colors too so that I don't have 2 of the same color right next to each other. Just going in all those gaps around the umbrellas. There we go, all done. Now I'm coming in with my title. I decided to use this Happy Days title from the die cut pack. It's not from the die cut titles, it's from the ephemera pack. And I haven't used one of these titles yet, so I really want to use it on this layout. And she was definitely having a happy day. She loves the rain so much. I did decide, just because the colours are so similar to all the colours I've used in the background, to take my Pigma Micron pen in black and just trace around the outside of all those letters, just to kind of help them stand out a little bit more amongst all the colour that is already going on the page. So I'm just going around and doing a thin line of that, taking my time. And I really like to personalise ephemera and titles with hand drawing and outlines quite a lot. That's something I do pretty often. Just coming in now with some glue and adhering all those pieces down. I don't want my photos moving around too much from this point. I know that's where they're going to go. I'm not going to move them, so I find it's easiest to embellish if my photos are secured. So I just make sure not to put the adhesive right towards the edge of the photo, so I can tuck things underneath around the edges if I want to. I am just going to add a little bit of adhesive foam on these titles, just at the bottom part, because I am going to overlap the top of that title over the top of my photo, and it is already popped up quite a bit. It's on a layer of paper and then the cut file behind, so it just wouldn't sit flat if I had stuck the title straight down. So I just find this foam helps to keep everything on an even plane. So I'm just going to add that with some glue again. It doesn't like to stick straight away, tacky glue with foam, so I'm just making sure to press that down as I go. And then with the days I will do the same thing. I'll add foam just to the bottom of the word, because I am going to overlap it with that first part of the title which already has foam behind it. So I'm just making sure again to keep everything at an even plane, just like that, and some more tacky glue. And I am overlapping my title with my photos. I just find that it helps tie everything together and it looks like it all belongs. Okay, I am coming in here. I'm trying to cover up that car that is in the background of two of my photos. So I'm using my ephemera strategically to cover that up. I'm going to use a few little suns and rainbows. Obviously they're very appropriate for this layout. So I've used a little rainbow flare and the little sun die cut there. I put that little sun, You Are My Sunshine sticker at the top there. I am trying to add in another rainbow. I couldn't quite get this one to work. It looks good now that I'm looking at it on camera, but at the time I just couldn't, it wasn't working for me, so I put that back. I'm going to trim out a couple of these teeny tiny rainbows actually off that little strip. I really like those, and tuck those behind. Now I'm just bringing in a few little stickers and die cuts to flesh out those clusters that I have going on. I do like to have at least 3 items in a cluster if I can. I love that little Good Life banner that's going to go below my title as a bit of a subtitle. I'm taking this little star, that's not a star, it's a heart, I keep calling them stars, a little heart die cut. I'm going around the outside with my white gel pen just to make it stand out even more. I will put quite a few more stars, hearts, a few more hearts on this layout before I'm finished. I love that rainbow sticker, so I've tucked that behind. I really like that there. Another little heart die cut and another sticker. And again, just going around with my white gel pen. I just really like to do this on these little hearts. Tuck that around, and then I will bring in, of course, some of the tiny word stickers. I love these. So I'm going to snip up this, my favorite things, into separate words and layer it up there. And I'm just going to move that. I didn't like how it was overlapping the photo. There we go. And then little happy at the top there, just tuck between, and then I will put another one at the bottom here. And I did not realize at the time, until actually I was filming this, that I had, or editing this video, that I had put the Good Life on there twice. So I put the Good Life banner, and then this is a Good Life in tiny words. So it kind of bothers me, but not enough to change it, to be honest. So I've just tucked in another one of those tiny rainbows behind that third cluster that I have going on. And now I'm coming in and gluing everything down. I will add a few more of these little heart die cuts over the top of my photo, and of course I will come in and draw around those with my gel pen. And the final thing I'm going to do is fix up that tiny word sticker at the bottom right of my layout. I just really didn't like how that was spaced out, so I'll just snip off life and stagger that below. And that will be my layout done. Thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure to check the description box below for links to the blog post. and the Cocoa Vanilla Studio Facebook group, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys!